Hi, I am Pratham. Today we are going to discuss about prototype and inheritance with prototype. So let's start the discussion. In JavaScript, everything is an object and each object has a private property which holds a link to the another object which is its prototype, and each prototype has also links to the another object which is the prototype of the prototype, and it's make a chain until it reaches to the null, and null has no prototype. So as you know that everything in JavaScript is an instance of object, and the prototype of the object is null. That null is the first level, and above them there is one more level, that is object, and we declare nearly anything in the JavaScript using an instance of object. So let's check some example. Let's have a function. If I try to access this property prototype, then you can see that it has a prototype which holds an object, and also that object has a prototype which holds another object which is a type of object instance, and has a property which is declared inside an JavaScript object, that it has constructor, has own property, and many more properties. And so this is a prototype of this function demo. Also if we can assign some properties to the prototype. If I assign it here, it will assign to the just like as a simple object. So it has assigned a equal to 1 to the prototype of demo. And if I just create another object using the demo function, here I am creating another object using a demo function which I declared here. So you can see that I can access A using this object. So it inherits all the properties of the demo in object instance. So the prototype of this will be, if I print it, you can see the prototype of this is same as prototype of this. So this is how inheritance looks like in JavaScript, and how this inheritance works in JavaScript, that if we try to access any property which is present on some object, like if I made an new object O having a function and have this to 1 and this to 2. So we are having a function which has two properties, A and B, and if I just declared new O, that is no, using that function, no doesn't have a property A and B direct, but its prototype has a property A and B, so I can able to access A and B also. How it works: firstly, JavaScript go to the list of the properties of no. If no object has a property A, it will show the value of that property, otherwise it will go to the prototype just like this prototype object and checks the property. If it is here, then it will return, otherwise it will go to the prototype of the prototype and check here. If it is here, then it will return, and at last if it is not there, it will return undefined, because object is at level 1 and after that we have null value, that is undefined, so it will return undefined. This is how JavaScript search properties inside the object, and this is one of the use case of the inheritance. It uses the inherited properties from the another object. Also, we can override the method of the object using the prototype. Let's have an example. So let's declare a new object which has a property A and method just print this dot A plus 1. Okay, and if I just call the method, it will, and now I am going to create a new object using object.create as a prototype of this, and now if I try to call it it will print 2, and now I can override this method by another method. And if I now call this, will print 3. So here you can see that it is printing 3 and using the override method instead of this object method. So you can see how the method overriding works here. We override the method m with our custom method, which is just incrementing its with the value 2. So this is how method overriding works, and also I can access A, and if I try to delete from the object, it will delete it, and now if I try to print A, it will give undefined because of prototype chaining. First it checks in the object queue that is it having a property A, and it doesn't have that property, so it goes to the prototype of it, which is an object. So it is checking here that does it have a property of property A, and here I delete this property, so this object also don't have that property. Then it goes to the prototype of this object, that is object, and checks that has a property A, and that object also doesn't have, then it goes to the null, and when it reaches to the null, it will give undefined as a answer as a value. So this is how here prototype chaining works. And now let's discuss the performance issue. As you can see, first it checks the property in itself, and then the prototype, then its prototype, until it reaches to the null. So for getting an property which is not a property of this object, it has to go from one prototype to the another prototype and make a recursion call until it will get that property or reaches to the null. it should be an advice that object should have its own property or a one level deep property, so it will enhance the overall performance of your application if this property is defined in its own object. So at the end we have a keyword class, which is just a syntactical sugar of this inheritance using a prototype. So in JavaScript, inheritance is not a class based inheritance, it is a prototype based inheritance. So if you like the content, please share the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.